Mercedes has not improved their pace to Ferrari relative to the first race of the season.
Now, if that statement surprises you, don't worry, it's going to make sense in a minute. Every season, Barcelona marks the first major upgrade package for most Formula One teams. In this video, I'm going to break down the winners and losers of the packages, based on their performance in qualifying alone. Some of the results are going to be pretty surprising. Going into the weekend, there were two major talking points. Number one, will the Mercedes solve their porpoising issues and close the gap to the frontrunners? And number two, did Aston Martin's copy of the Red Bull RB18 find them a massive improvement? Now, before we get into it, I will say that the teams have probably learned a lot about their new cars throughout the weekend in Barcelona. I don't think we will truly see what these upgrades are worth until 2 races time in Baku. In case you're wondering, this video segment's from my live stream over on Twitch. Almost every race weekend I watch FP2 qualifying and the race live, chat with you guys, and offer my insight and commentary on what's going on. If that's your kind of thing, there's a link in the description below. Now, let's get into the winners and losers from the Barcelona upgrades.
Barcelona is 5 or 6 races into the season typically, and is very often a place where teams will bring big upgrade packages, right? Everyone brought upgrades to the track except for one team. Haas was the only team not to bring any upgrades, and wow. AlphaTauri only brought a new high downforce rear wing, and they were probably just checking this out prior to Monaco. Ferrari brought a floor, a rear corner, so like the winglets on stuff on the brake drum, higher downforce rear wing. Mercedes new front wing end plates, floor edge, again a rear upright, some bits on that on the brake drum, and floor details around the keel, so the front of the floor where it bows out. Red Bull brought a new front wing flap and a floor upgrade. McLaren brought quite a few new components similar to everybody else that's mentioned above. McLaren had a big upgrade this event, which we didn't hear too much about in the media, and a little bit of cooling upgrades and some front brake drum stuff. So Alfa Romeo bringing a very similar list as well, a big chunk of bits, and Aston just brought a few small things. Aston really didn't bring much. This is all Aston brought. Oh, that's a picture of the Red Bull, sorry. Yeah, Aston just brought a Red Bull. That's all Aston brought. Apologies for that. I mentioned a couple of teams brought a new high downforce rear wing. The reason most people are probably bringing a new rear wing is they probably haven't run their dirtiest, biggest downforce yet. Monaco's next. A lot of people are probably going to test out their Monaco rear wing to make sure that it doesn't have any issues with stability or flow detachment or crosswind issues. A circuit like Barcelona usually needs a pretty big rear wing, but drag is also important in Barcelona. Let's talk about now the winners and the losers of the Barcelona upgrades. We saw that a lot of people were bringing huge stuff. Aston Martin brought a Red Bull. McLaren also brought huge upgrades. The two most talked about teams this weekend were the green Red Bull. I'm sorry, the McLaren. It's just so easy. Aston Martin, Cognizant Stroll Racing Point team, and the Mercedes. So I've got a ranking of the best and worst improvements. Here's what we got. So the biggest improvement, I'll break down how I've done this. So I looked at the team's pace over the first 5 races to the pole compared to this race, compared to that. So look at the first 5 races, average that, and see how much different their gap was to Ferrari, because Ferrari have been the pace setters the entire time, right? Haas brought nothing to this event, and they're basically 0.65% faster. Mercedes have found probably 0.3 to 0.4%. Alfa bringing a good upgrade. Ferrari is the benchmark. Red Bull in this event in terms of qualifying have slipped a bit. Aston, not terribly far off, 0.4% off. Williams, Alfa, and Alpine have done the worst this event relative to their first 5 events. So now let's make sense to this data, because there's a little bit more. Mercedes are the best improvement relative to the first 5 races of the season. There's one big problem to this approach, and I'll break it down, and I think this will make it a little bit more clear. Red Bull and Ferrari have been the top 2 teams in terms of qualifying this entire season. This is gap to pole for the top 4 teams for the first 6 races in qualifying. So you can see here, Ferrari and Red Bull. Ferrari setting the pace, and then often Red Bull just a bit off, maybe 0.3%, 0.4% off. Mercedes started off the season at about 0.7%. Jeddah and Australia saw them go backwards. Imola was a mixed wet dry qualifying, so arguably you could omit that for everybody. But Miami, again, almost 1% off, and Barcelona still 0.8% off. So unfortunately, even though Mercedes have probably found a lot of performance and have found a lot of understanding with their new package, Mercedes has not improved their pace to Ferrari relative to the first race of the season. I think that's a bit surprising, because they looked pretty good, man. And it's difficult to tell you how much Ferrari have improved, because they've been setting the benchmark this entire season in terms of pace. The point being that if Ferrari are developing at a certain rate, Mercedes are going to struggle to outdevelop them and catch them. They're still 0.8% off, which is a huge amount. They've definitely made improvements. You know, the drivers are happier. The car looks good, but it's not. Leclerc's been almost flawless. We've seen Max making a few mistakes in qualifying, which Leclerc's probably made some mistakes, but they're not as visible as the ones that Max have had. The McLaren are thereabouts, but I mean, they started off the season 1.5% off, which is absolutely abysmal. Imola wet qualifying, I think that's Norris popping it in there. still 1% off. And McLaren, Barcelona has been abysmal. Not happy for those guys. Everybody got excited when Mercedes was looking fast in P2. But if you look back at the beginning of the weekend, you thought, right, the Mercedes looks planted. Everything looks good. You know, the drivers seem confident. They're getting good lap times out of the car. They seem happy about it. Then you go watch the off-car cameras from Lewis's qualifying lap. The car's moving around a lot. He's no joker, man. He's got his hands full with that car. For Russell and Hamilton to put good laps together in that car, those are some serious drivers. That's, you know, they're not washed. It's a difficult car right now. And they're going to have a long slog to make up that pace deficit to Ferrari. In summary, Mercedes not improving in terms of gap to the front, unfortunately. Let's look at the rest of the field. Alpine has been consistent towards Imola, and they've dropped off massively, which is fine. Haas, up and down, but Haas, great improvement this weekend. So if this is their average, the first 5 here, and look at where they're at, Haas had their best qualifying performance in terms of pace. Alfa Romeo, consistent and good. I think Alfa Romeo probably brought a decent amount of pace to the car. Alpine and Williams just kind of fading away, so it looks like everybody's out developing them or just having crap races, which suck. But how if Haas brought no upgrades and they're still flying, man? That blows my mind. Williams and Aston look like they're bleeding out and Alpine struggling. The Aston basically goes from here in the mix and they're there. Bottas is doing a spectacular job